Hello friends, Lee here from TableTop Bong. Thanks for joining me. In this video, thought we could hang out, have a fun sesh, and we could talk about lifted energy. Lifted energy, that's not a metaphor, my friends. Lifted energy is an energetic field. It is a real healing modality, and I carry the energy. It's a pretty cool thing. I'm so happy to get to talk to you guys about this today. I have been wanting to talk about this for a really long time. I just haven't felt like we're at the place where it's quite right, but we're finally there, and I am so stoked to have this conversation today. By the time we're done this video, I'm going to assure you, you're going to feel like you know me a whole lot better than you do at the beginning of this video. I'm going to have to share some super personal details about myself to really make this make sense, but I've decided to take on that level of vulnerability with you, my friends, and to go for it. So let's go. All right, so lifted energy is a healing modality, and I say I carry the energy. What on earth does that mean? All right, I'm gonna just back up. I'm gonna go to the beginning, and I'm gonna break down how I ended up with this information. And then I'm gonna be able to talk about moving forward what that looks like, okay? Here's the most important thing I'm gonna tell you before I even get going on this though, okay? So I'm gonna explain this all to you, but at no point do I believe that this belongs to me. It's just something that I feel like I hold. I'm going to let you do it too. So let's get into it. What happened? How did I get this information? Okay. Well, I had maybe some traumas in my childhood that we're not going to go into any great detail on because it's not really going to, serve the purpose. I think when you explain that you had some trauma in your childhood, most people can figure out what's going on there, that you maybe didn't have great growing up. So that was me. Fast forward a little bit. I'm an adult, and these things are hanging on, right? They're kind of plaguing me. I'm feeling them in physical ways. I have some addiction issues. I got some stuff going on. I'm a bit of a mess, okay? I'm just going to admit it. I was a frickin' mess. So why was I a mess? Because I had all this energy that didn't belong to me that I felt like I was carrying, right? I felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders at all times, and yet I probably wasn't really responsible for too many things. And then I had some addiction issues and I had all kinds of stuff going on because I was just a bit broken energetically inside, right? So one day randomly in passing, I hear somebody say Z point. Just that sentence, Z point, just that word, Z point. And it rang something in my brain. Had no idea what it was. So I went ahead and I researched it. And it turned out it was an energy healing modality. So I'm like, oh, that's super cool. I have no idea what energy healing means, but okay. So I looked at it, I read it, and I studied it a little bit. And I decided, you know what? I had tried everything else. I had tried alcohol. I had tried drugs. I had tried hard drugs. I tried more hard drugs and more alcohol. I tried therapy and all that kind of stuff too. And none of it seemed to free me from this stuck energy that I was carrying. I didn't know how to label it at the time. I just know that I felt really terrible a good portion of the time. So I hear this phrase at Z point, I do the research, and it's an energy healing modality. And basically what I figure out with it, because I don't understand anything about energy at this point in time, I was a pretty intuitive child, but that wasn't very accepted. So I learned to just silence that part of myself and turn it off. And that just became part of my own internal dialogue. I would often know when things were going to happen before they would happen or what was going to happen, stuff like that. I just kept it to myself, right? But that skill, it kind of dulls a little bit if you're not using it. But I mean, it kind of ran in the background, which, sometimes was a blessing and sometimes was a curse, let's be honest. So that's going on in the background, and I hear this thing, so I research it. And it's just some steps. You just have to say these commands over and over and over. And it's not really important how it worked anyway. But the point is, I sat and I did it over and over and over because I just felt like nothing else had worked. I was ready to give up on life. I was just kind of brokenhearted, honestly. So I found this thing. I started researching it. I started doing it. And I started doing it day after day after day. And I didn't really feel a whole lot. But it led me to other things. So I began meditating as well. Because I thought maybe if I could calm myself, because, I was a pretty frantic energy kind of guy. I thought if I could calm myself a little bit, maybe this energy thing I was doing might be able to take hold, or I didn't really know how to even qualify if it was working. I really didn't know if I felt any better, but I did notice I was doing things like I was getting into meditation where I wasn't before. I was open to something I wasn't before, so I thought, well, maybe this thing's doing something. All right, I'll just keep doing it and just reading these commands, right? And it was like just a number of commands over and over and over, and you just say a certain thing, and like it was pretty easy stuff. It didn't seem all that woo-woo. It felt more like I was doing a computer program in my brain or something when I was doing this. So I thought, yeah, this is all right. I'm going to just go ahead and fire up this Fury 3. So I just kind of stayed on it, and then I learned to meditate. And that took a little bit of time, but it didn't take that long, actually. I was surprised I was able to do it. And then all of a sudden, while I was meditating one day, I started having this like download of information dump in my brain. And I was like, what is going on? It felt so weird, but it came fast and furious. So I sat up, I was laying down meditating, I sat up, I got a piece of paper and a pencil, and I started writing, and I started kind of closing my eyes and letting things show up, and then I would write them, and I did this for 13 or 14 pages. And I was like, this is wild, I have no idea what's going on, but maybe something's actually happening here. Cheers. Oh yeah, that's nice. So, I get all this information, and afterward I lay it all out, and I'm so excited. I'm like, I have no idea what this is going to mean, but I know I have a roadmap to something. And I looked through it, and there was absolutely nothing I could figure out from it. Like zip, zero, zilch. No idea what any of it meant. I was like, that's a bit of a dirty trick. Like, why am I getting a bit of information here, like 13, 14 pages of stuff, and I can't make any sense out of any of it? I had to let it go, though. It was a weird thing. It was like really weird, right? And this all just kind of happened in my head, and I'm writing down things, and then I just put it away. I just kept meditating and just kept doing the energy thing, and getting, very, very slow results. But I learned something. I learned to set an intention before meditating. So I started to ask whatever force may be out there. This is the way I thought about it at the time. Whatever force is out there, if I can make a request, could you please tell me how to get rid of this pain? And could you tell me how to help other people get rid of their pain? I don't necessarily want to do it for them. That's not what this is about. But if you can tell me how to get rid of mine, then I can show people how they can get rid of theirs. And this is the intention that I built when I went into meditation day after day after day. So maybe 6 months or so after the first download, I received another download of information. And I had recognized what was happening because I had been through it once. So from the first time it happened, what I did is I made sure I had a notepad and a pencil handy when I would meditate in case I was to receive another download. I could just grab it and do kind of like automatic writing and just let it kind of come through. So that's exactly what happened. So I went through this process, maybe 6 months or so, I don't remember exactly now, later, and I did the same thing and I wrote down pages of things. And I thought, I looked at it again and I'm like, I have no idea what this is. I'm like, I already did this before. I have no idea what this means. And then I was like, oh, eureka. Wait a minute. Why don't I go get those other pages because I kept them? And I put it down. And all of a sudden, I started to see pieces coming together. And what was happening was I was seeing a formula. A formula that was energy-based but logical, beyond logical. Because I'm not, like at this point, I'm definitely not really understanding spiritual stuff at all. I'm really beginning to open, but I don't really get it. I'm like a real infant in this world of things at this time. But wow, This was incredible. I saw the pieces. I was able to put it together. I saw this logical format that made me feel like maybe this could actually do something. It felt different than the thing I was already doing. So I spent a little bit of time getting to know this thing that I was given, this healing modality, it turns out. And I figured it out. And I was so proud of myself because when I figured it out and I started to do the work, things started to change. I could find where I had energy stuck in my body, and I had this formula, which I'm going to let you guys know. I'm going to teach you this formula. I'm not telling you a story that doesn't end with you learning how to do this. I'm going to teach you how to do this for yourself. Because listen, this is what I have learned out of this whole experience, and I'm just going to jump to this for 1 second and we'll go right back in. But all healing is self-healing. All healing is self-healing. I have learned that through this process. Okay, so let's go a little bit further here. So I have this healing system and I'm working with it and I'm moving energy and I'm really sort of dialing into this. And I realize this thing could be a real apex healing system. This could be really the top if I just spent enough time refining it, right? So that's exactly what I did. I dug right in and I began to refine it so that I could very systematically and repeatedly, over and over and over, go back through different times in my life, find where the energy was still stuck in my body, and release it. And all of a sudden I started to feel lighter. The whole world began to change for me at this point in time. So then, because I guess I already had the intuitive thing in the background, and you have to imagine, right, as I'm doing all this energy work, I was born intuitive, turned it off, but it really started to open back up. And I really didn't want to prevent it at this point because now I'm doing some energetic stuff and I'm feeling my intuition come online. And all of a sudden, when it came online, I realized not only could I do this healing work on my own energy body, I could actually, through my intuitive body, do this work with other people's energy body. So I could have somebody, come and sit in session with me, and I could work with them and I could feel and sense intuitively what was going on so I could take them through the process and I could help them and help them find where these things were stuck, and it really began to work. And then I thought about it and I thought, what happens if I go one step further? What happens if I think about, how do I do this? What if I do the same thing I'm doing with somebody when they're here with me? What if I do it with somebody who's not with me? What if I did this from a remote location? I had heard of people doing like Reiki healing and stuff like that by this point who were saying, they could do remote healing and stuff. So it had occurred to me, if that was possible and I have this intuitive ability to work with somebody who's in front of me, could I do it with somebody else? Remotely. Turns out I could. I taught myself that skill. And that was a long time ago that I learned that skill. So what it did was it allowed me, here's why I wanted that skill so bad. Let me just jump in with this real quick for 1 second. Why I wanted to be able to work with people intuitively is I found if I was asking them questions, they were steering the answers instead of allowing the energy to answer. So I wanted to see if I could work with people without speaking to them and just work purely energetically, sitting together and not actually speak a word. Because if you've got some trauma, right? You got lots of trauma, you maybe don't want to talk about it. And that's fair, right? So this is what I'm thinking. If we could go through this process and not necessarily have to communicate verbally, but we could use our energy to do it. I'm just trying some stuff, right? I'm pretty young at the time and I'm opening up this intuition and I'm feeling myself with this a little bit. I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. And I figured out the vibration for it and how to do it. And that was super cool. But what I ended up finding out from doing that is when people would sit down with me, they got a little bit nervous because I would say to them, we don't have to speak about this. It's okay, I'll just work with your energy and you'll feel the changes. It's all good, don't worry about it. And I thought that would soothe people, right? But then they would steal up and there would be one thing. Everybody had one thing that they wanted to hide from the process, that they were embarrassed about or something like that. Here's what ended up happening, and it was pretty funny. Well, funny, not funny, I guess. The thing that everybody wanted to hide, they were putting their attention on that thing all the time while I was working with their energy. And what did that do? That just put it right there in front of me. Every last bit of the thing they wanted to hide dropped right in my lap. I could just see it and I'm like, oh no, this is what you want to hide. I get it. Took me a few times to realize it, but what's happening is people are unconsciously putting their attention on that thing and it ends up coming forward. So I would explain that then to people so that they could not do that process, and then things went a little bit better. So what I ended up doing was going through this process of learning all of these various stages of this energy healing modality that had been given to me in meditation. So I recognized this information. I don't know, maybe I remembered it. I don't know where it came from. I know it's not mine though. I know I carry it. I know I'm lucky enough to have access to it. I know it's absolutely changed my life. And I know it can do the same for you. So what I decided to do with this, because what it does is it gives people a chance to trust their own experience of life, kind of instead of the fog, right? Like as you work through it and you're using it, there's a confirmed transmission that lets you know it's already happening. You feel the change occurring. You're not guessing. Believe me, you're not guessing. You absolutely feel the changes almost in real time. It's a very cool thing. So here's what I decided to do with this, because I am so fluent with this and I've been working with it for, I've done hundreds, probably even, I'm going to say in the thousands of sessions with this. You know, I've done a lot of work over 25 years or so with this now. It's been a true blessing in my life, and you know, we haven't really talked about it too much. We talk about all kinds of other things, but I haven't really talked about the healing and the guidance that I love doing when it comes to this. So I'm so stoked. I decided I was going to make an entire video series and teach you guys step by step how to do it. And here's what you're going to see when I give you the step-by-step video course. And I'm just going to deliver the whole thing at once. I'm not going to drop it in a bunch of installments like that. I'm just going to give you the whole library at one time. And I'm going to give you, there's a couple of PDFs and things that you're going to need to follow that have some charts and stuff that really make it easy for you. I'm going to give you everything. Just going to give it all to you, okay? So I'm going to make that available for you. I'm not going to ask you for any money or anything like that. Like I said, this isn't mine. This isn't mine. I've had access to it. I carry the energy, but it's not mine. It's for all of us. So I'm going to just take the time to create that video series for you, put it all up, and you're going to be able to get basically instant results when you use it. You may even find, my friends, you might even open up layers of your own intuition. So before we wrap this up, why would you want to take the time to learn this? If you're carrying things that don't feel great, if you have some, things that you might say, yeah, that left a bit of a mark on me. Those things often sit in our body, sit in our energy, unprocessed and undigested. This system will help you process and digest that energy and remove it. This gives you a systematic approach to personal empowerment. That's exactly what it does. What I did with this process myself is I chipped away at the things that were eating at me. All the stuff I was carrying that wasn't mine, I just spent day after day working on this stuff, getting rid of it. It didn't take a whole lot of time each day to do it once I understood the process completely and became fluent with it. And I'll have you there in no time. Because you don't have to learn the things that I had to go through to get this figured out and dial it in to be what it is. It's highly effective though, which is super cool. You're gonna Well, you're going to see I don't need to convince you. Believe me, I don't need to convince you. This is something that is game changing, changed my life for sure. So I'm super happy to be putting this together and bringing it into the community. I just wanted to drop a little, I guess maybe not really a teaser, an explanation, because I'm not really going to get too deep into how I got to having it. I'm just going to teach you guys how to use it, right? So I thought I'd drop a video and just talk a little bit about the background of what's going on with Lifted Energy and why maybe I want to do this. I want to share this with the community. I'm going to put this tool out there, and here's what I'm going to say. This isn't going to be for everybody, but I know there are a number of people out there that are feeling the weight of the world. A lot of people who are saying, I am stressed and I don't know why. I have pains and I don't know why. This hurts, that hurts, I'm sad, I don't really know how to feel good anymore. I've heard so much. Now is the time. Things are heavy out there for a lot of people. So if that's you, try this out. Here's the thing. You don't have to give me anything for this. This is already yours. So I hope that it does for you even a fraction of what it's done for me in my life. All right, my friends. So I will let you know as soon as that is available. And like I said, I'm just going to drop the whole series at once. So when you're ready to start, you can just start and go through the whole thing. All right. I hope you enjoyed this and got something out of it. Until next time, take care.